I tried to learn 200 kanji in one day just to figure out if it is even worth trying.
I don't even want to talk about this guy. I can't remember the meanings because the only thing I can think of.
I've seen this character 3 times today and I couldn't tell you what it means if you offered me cash. Like, who are you? What do you want from me? Why are you looking at me like that?
Now, being honest with you guys, I have not studied Japanese at all over the last few months. I have this really big study guilt. I can't get this thought out of my head that I'm like, what if I just do one day of really intense studying? Is that gonna help? Is that going to do anything to accelerate my learning process? And I kind of feel like I know the answer already, but I'd like to test it out. I do know for a fact that effort-wise this is not going to be sustainable, but results-wise, whether doing this every once in a while might provide a slight boost in learning. Doubtful again, but I still thought this would be a fun thing to try. So the day started with my first hour of memorization. I had downloaded this Anki deck with kanji and example sentences. You can find it linked in the description if you want to use it too. So I'm just going in and noting down each character as well as choosing one example word to memorize along with it. So when you look at a character, the common method that everybody follows is to break it down into its own smaller parts, which could be set radicals or it could just be your own stories that you create for each piece. For example, I know that this bottom character is the radical from Earth. In my case, I tend to remember it as mud, and the top one is a part of the character for tea. The bit on the left is the radical for water. So I think of mud wall that someone is just kind of using tea leaves to paint on. Again, these stories are kind of not necessarily, they don't make the most sense, but they create an image in your head that can help you remember the character going forward. An even simpler one, for example, is this one. So we have the character for stone on the left, and then we have little on the right. And so small stones, sand, right? I mean, easy. Also, sometimes I look at a character and it just gives me a really weird vibe. Like, look at this one. Why is he looking at me like that? I just get a very weird, like some characters I just get like a very positive, happy vibe from. I'll be like, oh my god, yo, this character looks like we'd get along really well. But this particular one does not look like it wants to be friends with me at all. And so I am just going to relate that uneasy feeling that the character is giving me with the feeling of being on a boat and motion sickness on a boat, even though I have never been on a boat or been seasick. But I can imagine. Just finished with the first hour and I am questioning whether 200 is going to be possible or whether this is it wasn't a good idea in the first place. But I just barely managed to get my first look at 50 characters. Maybe the way I'm going about it isn't the best. I might try something different for the next 50. Right now I am just trying to work with example words and see how that goes. So we will break now for I'd say about an hour. I'm gonna grab some lunch. I think I started way too late today. That was my problem. I should have started this way earlier, but I'm so hungry. I am not gonna be able to do this without some food. I think that was also probably the issue. I haven't eaten yet, and so I was just sitting there the whole time thinking about eating. So yeah, I'm gonna grab some food and hopefully the next 50 are gonna be better. I am back with some food. Don't know if you can see this. I've got some yummy biryani. I am going to be absolutely devouring this while me from the future tells you about today's amazing sponsor. Now, if you've watched a few of my other videos, you might have seen me do ads with italki before, and I always love doing a sponsorship from italki because this is a platform that I actually love to use. Italki is an online language learning platform where you can book one-on-one personalized lessons with native teachers. I've been using it to practice Japanese, but they offer over 150 languages, so you're pretty much covered no matter what you're learning.
大きいマイク使って
野菜
チップ
チップ
安いね
安い、そうです、安いです。
うんうんうん
野菜はね
でも
ベジタブルじゃないです
か
そうそうそうそう。
はい、そうそう、はい、はい。
安い。
安い、
安い野菜
安いマイクです。
うんうん。
You can choose teachers based on your level, your goals, or even your native language, which makes it so much less intimidating to learn, especially when you're starting out as a complete beginner. You can practice real life conversations, and the extremely supportive teachers will provide you with a safe space to mess up, to ask questions, and to actually speak the language. I know this has helped me a lot because instead of memorizing, I'm actually talking to a person. Yeah. Yeah. Easy?
それで安い。
安い。そうそう、安い。あ、
うん
安い、安い。
安い。
もっと安い。
じゃあ、
はいはい、そうです。
安いの日だね。安
はいい、そう
と野菜
ですね。
One of the best things about italki is that you only pay per lesson. The lessons are affordable, they're flexible, and it will fit not just your budget but also your schedule. And to make things even better, they also have a new learning toolkit called italki Plus that you can try for free for a month. These tools are so helpful to have along with your lessons because they create stuff like auto-generated summaries, they make smart flashcards, and they also have a built-in progress tracker. So it just makes things stick so much better. Now, if you're thinking of trying it out, italki is running a special promotion just for us. If you use my code RHEA and purchase $10 in credits, you'll get an extra $5 for free for your first lesson. But it is only for the first 50 users, so do not wait too long. Check the link in description to start your language learning journey today.
タイトルはね、1日で200漢字を覚えました。
おー、すごい。
200の漢字見えますか？
自分で書いたのね。
はい。
上手だった。
いや、
僕より
私
上手。僕の方が読めない。僕しか読めない。ほら、待って。読めないでしょ。ほら。
読めない。でも
上手。
私は日本語が下手ですから読めない。
Now, over the years, I've done loads of different methods. I've tried RTK stuff like Heisig's, I've done Kanji damage, I've done my own stories. What all of these methods have in common is that they take a kanji and they associate somewhat of a story to it. But you are only learning the characters, you're not learning the readings or the meanings. Now, this kind of nicely segues us into what do we consider learning a kanji? Now, I look at it as 3 levels. I look at it as identification, reading, and recognizing and reading it in multiple different, situations. To go into depth, identification. For today specifically, I mean, it's not going to be like, can I look at this kanji and be like, oh, I know it because I'm learning all of the kanji today. There's no way I'm going to look at one and be like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen this before. That's not happening, right? So identification means I can look at a kanji and be like, oh, this is what it means. I know that this refers to this kind of concept or this kind of, it doesn't have to be the exact meaning of the word, but for example, if I see this kanji, I'm like, oh, I know it means like to rap in general. Second level is to be able to pronounce it. Now, there are 2 types of pronunciations or sometimes even more. I never memorize all the readings of the character. I memorize one, and I generally do it with an example word, which is what you can kind of see me doing while I'm doing my first 50. I'm noting down the example word along with the kanji, so I now have a word and a meaning and a reading of the kanji to associate it with. I feel like I'm repeating the same words, reading, kanji, meaning again and again and again. The last hour has been hard for me. The final level is to then kind of see that same kanji in multiple sentences, multiple words, multiple places, and still be able to identify it. I am not expecting to reach that level today. I feel like regardless, that is something that happens as you keep using the language and you keep coming across a character that you already know in different situations, and that's really not something that you can simulate within a day for these many characters or even for a single character, right? You kind of need to learn it, and then as you go on, as you keep learning other stuff, you kind of see it recurring later and you're like, oh, cool. And that adds to your mastery of that specific character. So after lunch, I took an objective look at my schedule and I realized that there was potentially room for improvement. And so I decided to break the second set into 2 parts. So now we have 25 more kanji to study in our next block. Then we'll review all 75 we've learned till now by 4. Are we pushing it? Yes. But do I believe in myself? Question mark. So for round 2, instead of doing everything digitally, I pulled out the trusty old notebook pen and questionable handwriting combo. And I don't know, sometimes the act of just physically writing a character helps it stick a lot better in my head. I think there's something there about muscle memory. I mean, I don't think, it probably just is muscle memory. Anyways, for most of the kanji, I am sticking to this one word method. I'm picking one example word and pairing it with the character. But I'm not writing everything down this time. I'm just saying them out loud or mumbling them to myself, repeating the word, repeating the meaning, repeating the word, repeating the meaning, repeating the reading until I feel like I've squeezed it into like a semi-permanent brain wrinkle somewhere in there. Like some of them are surprisingly cooperative. Like I see the character and I immediately go, yes, I know you, right? You make sense. And then there are others, and I swear some of these feel like they were personally designed just to spite me right now in this moment. I look at them and it's just pure noise. Like I've seen this character 3 times today and I couldn't tell you what it means if you offered me cash. Like who are you? What do you want from me? Why are you looking at me like that? The energy is definitely lower this round. I'm trying not to force it, but I'm just trying to keep going, keep engaging, keeping it light. Also, though, someone please remind me why I thought 200 was going to be a good idea. So I have gone slightly overboard and learned 76 kanji instead of 75. But even out of these 76, I can more or less tell you the meaning of most of them, but I'm a little shaky on most of the readings. That's alright because we are coming up on a revision, so I think after this one revision I should be a little more solid on these 76. Okay, so unfortunately it is 3:58 and I've only managed to finish this much of my revision. I'm like barely halfway through, and the good thing is though, the next block is going to be just 25 more new words, and so maybe we can just finish up this revision and then move on to the new vocabulary. We just don't have enough time, so I will have to see how this goes. Checking in again at 4:10, and I think I just feel like I'm gonna do 150. And my false alarm. I realized I only have these many left. Like I finished these many, I have just these many left to revise. So we have hope. I might be able to finish revision around 4:25ish, and then have the rest of the hour to do the rest of the kanji. Yay! Party! It is 4:56 and on Ryu we have finished our 100 kanji for today. So we have like 5 more hours till 10, which is when I'm deciding to stop. So I think maybe we can get to, I'm gonna aim for 200 still, but if 200 is not possible, we are going to go for 150, which I'm assuming is gonna be like half, so somewhere about here, I guess. Should I do a revision of just the 100 first? Wait, what's on my schedule? I have consulted the holy sheet, and seems like we are going to learn another 50 now, which will then make a revision for the 50 plus the 25 that we just learned now for 75 words. Then I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to review all of the 150, so how much ever this becomes, in one go. And then see how that finishes. If that finishes in time, then we're going to go for the 200. Or we're just going to skip the 200. I don't know. My brain is like not working anymore. I don't know why I did this. 100 words, 100 kanji done. Sorry, 150 kanji done. I'm gonna take a quick break. It is 6:50. Then we are going to do a revision. Yahoo! Okay, so I went out for like 20 minutes. I touched some grass. I sat on a bench. I stared into the void. I feel a tiny bit more alive now, but also mildly panicked because we still have so much kanji to go. Okay, so here is my wall of shame. I forgive the
unnatural tube lighting of this. It looks really disgusting and fluorescent, but these are characters that I've been trying to memorize and just refuse to stick in my head. I've looked them up, I've reviewed them, I've written them down like 50 times, and I still couldn't tell you what this guy means. That is not a cylinder. That's not a cylinder. That does not look like a cylinder. This is not forming. I mean, the only reason I can even recall this right now is because I've written the Korean Hanja here, and that helps me recall it a bit better. That is not forming. That looks like a technical word. It looks like a robot. I don't think farming. Where's the trees? Where's the tree radical? I don't even want to talk about this guy. I've cursed myself with these because every time I look at them, they're not even that hard to remember, but every time I look at them, I can't remember the meanings because the only thing I can think of is they're all now in timeout until they learn how to behave, or until I look at them enough times to then have them stuck in my head. Look at this lighting. This lighting is terrible. I'm sorry.
So I have a confession. I might have doom scrolled for 45 minutes, but it's alright. It's okay. We are just gonna continue, and everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. We're just gonna continue. It's alright. We're on track. For 11 p.m. maybe. We'll see. Whatever happens. It's alright. Whew. I am not very proud of this, but I skipped the review. I was honestly just off the mind of let's just get this done with. I just went through all of the characters that were left, and I also have to admit there were some characters that were a little easy that I technically should have skipped, but I still wrote them down just because I wanted to finish the 200. I think I finished this in barely 20 minutes. I don't think I even really looked at, I read the example vocabulary, but I didn't really retain it at all. I really wish I could give you some sort of really nice conclusion to the day, ending on a high note, but I honestly just wrote down whatever characters I could and then went to sleep. And with that, we fast forward to Sunday. Here is the real test. Retention. I didn't revise at all during the week, which I do not recommend, by the way. This was purely to test if an intense one-day cram can hold up after a few days. I do want to mention a few wins I had during the week. I've taken screenshots of a few posts that I saw of the kanji that I had learned the previous weekend in use, in real life. Now for the actual review. Spoiler alert, I did not retain all of them. Everyone is so surprised. But I did retain a little more than I expected. Some thoughts that I have. The ones with strong mnemonics still in my brain. The ones that I wrote down example vocabulary for also tended to stick better. And the final ones I rushed through late at night, they're gone. No one's surprised, of course. I also think it definitely has a lot to do with at what time I encountered the kanji. Earlier in, I was much more likely to actually think about the character and not just do this.
It's a point of extreme saturation because I just looked at this and for the story, I was like, yeah, I guess it looks like a can.
In fact, here is a graph of the time that I learned the kanji and the likeliness of me retaining it. So, was it worth it? No. No, it was not. Please do not try this. Okay, sure, you can try to do more than 10 characters per day, but 200 or 150 or honestly even 100 is just pushing it. Just listen to your brain. Somewhere around kanji number 37, I think, I felt the burnout bar in my head kind of max out. And in hindsight, I probably would have learned more by just stopping there, calling it a day and letting all that information just settle. There is a very big difference between pushing yourself and punishing yourself. And I wouldn't even say tiptoed, I'd say I tripped over that line. Thank you for sticking around. Please go drink some water, get some good rest, and revise a reasonable number of kanji. Please. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.